Welcome back to the Iron Couch, my weekly breakdown for House of the Dragon. I'm the Uneducated Man. This week, we're going to be doing Season 1, Episode 6. Subscribe if you like my videos. Alright, so this time, we're going to start with the Queen. The new actress is spot on for a 10-year-older Alicent. I was kind of worried about all that, new actresses and everything, but I seem to have been worried about nothing because they both did really well. So things have just gotten worse between Alicent and Rhaenyra over the last 10 years. I know the time jump's kind of jarring for a lot of people, but honestly, without throwing too many crazy book spoilers in there, we're pretty much just skipping over like a whole bunch of bureaucracy.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
Not that much craziness happens until the show shows it happening. So anyway, literally 20 seconds after Rhaenyra gives birth to her third son, more on those kids in a minute, Alicent orders the baby to be brought to her for inspection.
Princess, the Queen has requested that the child be brought to her.
The two of them obviously have nothing left but hate between each other. She even hits Laenor with a pretty savage burn about his son.
Do keep trying, Selena. Sooner or later you may get one who looks like you.
She also leans on the king to do something about this, because I guess she takes a lot of offense over Rhaenyra's sons. But honestly, the king really doesn't give a shit. Alicent shares all this hatred for Rhaenyra with her new shadow and bodyguard, Sir Criston the Butthurt. She's also gotten really close with Larys Strong, aka the Clubfoot, aka the shadiest man since Littlefinger. She's getting a lot more comfortable playing the game, but her hate for Rhaenyra really blinds her to a lot of things going on and clouds her judgment. Even when Rhaenyra offers to marry her son and heir to the throne,
"My son, Jacaerys, will inherit the Iron Throne after me. I propose we betroth him to your daughter, Helena."
she refuses it pretty much just out of hate. The Queen has a nice little dinner with Larys Strong, and she kind of accidentally okays a plot to take his father and brother, Harwin, Breakbones, and Lionel Strong, the Hand of the King, completely out of the cast of the show. She really acts shocked that Larys would kill his own father and brother, but honestly, I think deep down inside, she knew what she was getting into messing with this dude. Rhaenyra's new actress also looks the part. More solid casting from the show. She begins our episode with another uncomfortable birth scene. Hats off to the Foley artists who did all the sounds for the birth scene. Thanks. That was gross. The walk that Rhaenyra has to take to go present her new son to the Queen, 2 minutes after giving birth, is brutal, but it also shows just that there is absolutely no trust left between these two people that used to be best friends. Things do look like they've gotten a lot better between Rhaenyra and the king, though.
I do hope the labor was easy.
I think I called the midwife a cunt.
Oh.
After that, we get a touching family scene with Rhaenyra, her husband, Laenor Velaryon, and her baby's daddy, Sir Harwin Strong, known as Breakbones, but not for that long. So this 10-year time jump gives us 3 kids for Alicent, and now 3 kids for Rhaenyra. But we're going to talk more about those kids later. The important part for us right now is that Rhaenyra and Laenor's kids look nothing like him at all. And really, this is kind of the thing that's going to push everything over the edge and really spark the whole fire and blood. So after an incident in the yard, Rhaenyra overhears Harwin's dad, the Hand of the King, yelling at him, and pretty much she knows at this point that everybody knows and the game's up. So Rhaenyra goes and sits down with her husband, Laenor, who's been out drinking, chilling with his buddies and everything, and basically is about to get ready to try to bail out to the Stepstones to go start fighting again. She sits him down, they have a conversation, and even though he's not happy about it, he agrees to stay by her side there in King's Landing. Okay, so he doesn't so much as agree as she orders him to stay there. Rhaenyra even tries to make peace with Alicent during one of the council meetings, offering up a marriage contract between her and Alicent's kids, but Alicent just shrugs it off. I'm not sure if this is a last-ditch effort by Rhaenyra to try to save herself, or if she really does want her friend back. Later on, Rhaenyra and her kids say goodbye to Breakbones. Because of his incident, he's been tossed out of the city. Kind of like Daemon, but he'll actually go somewhere. After everything that's gone down, Rhaenyra pretty much decides that it's time for everybody to leave King's Landing and take off to Dragonstone. King Viserys, the slowly dying. Seriously, every single episode, every single fight that goes down between Rhaenyra and Alicent seems to make him worse and worse. Every episode, we've just been watching him get weaker and watching that hair get thinner. I really like that all he really wants from everybody is for them to love each other and get along. And it is really sad to watch that it seems like it physically destroys him the more hate is involved in everything. He's very proud of his new grandson, and he really doesn't care who it looks like. He just is happy. He chooses to be blind and oblivious of everything because none of that matters to him. Alicent doesn't want to let it go, but he just tells her to drop it and leave it alone. He's too tired, old, and sick to deal with fighting, and all he wants is for everybody to get along, and for them to leave him alone so he can finally finish his Valyrian Lego set.
Why won't they leave me alone?
He really enjoys his children and his grandchildren, and he loves watching them train in the yard.
This is the stuff, Lionel. Lads have learned together, trained together.
At least up until the point to where Sir Criston the Butthurt and Harwin Strong let their hate for each other kind of push everything over into another fight. At the small council meeting, he loves Rhaenyra's offer of her son to Alicent's daughter, and also really thinks the gift of a dragon's egg is awesome.
Let them rule together.
A most judicious proposition. My dear, a dragon's egg is a handsome gift.
But Alicent's having nothing to do with it, and it just drains him that much more. When Lionel Strong shows up and tries to quit his post of Hand of the King because of the stuff his son Harwin's been doing, the king's not having that either.
If you insist, my king. I do. You will continue in your service to the crown.
He won't accept his resignation, but he does let him go off and take Harwin over to Harrenhal to try to show him how to run the show, since it's their house seat. In his last scene in this episode, he's hanging out in front of his Valeria model, and we can see he's got his wife's ring, his first wife's ring. He really misses her. And I'm not sure, but I think his mind might be slipping just a little bit. We also see that rat show up again. It's like his own personal spirit animal for suffering. Our boy's going to end up looking like Skeletor by episode 10, if he makes it that long. So, now let's talk about Sir Criston the Butthurt and Harwin Strong, aka Breakbones. Sir Butthurt is still really butthurt after 10 years because Rhaenyra wouldn't give up the Iron Throne to go wander off somewhere and be broke with him.
Spoiled cunt.
Now, after 10 years, we see that he's pretty much Queen Alicent's shadow, doing the same thing for her that he was doing for Rhaenyra back in the day. Minus the sex. Just like everybody else, he knows that the kids are not Laenor's. And he actually really seems to hate the kids also.
Use your feet! Don't let him get up.
Breakbones, on the other hand, is Rhaenyra's new protector. and also happens to be the father of her strong young sons. We get to see the relationship between the three of them when Harwin kind of stops by to see his new son.
So Harwin wishes to be introduced to Joffrey.
Of course.
It's an interesting family dynamic for sure, but everybody seems to be okay with it, and other than the fact that everybody knows that that's not Laenor's kids,
Whose goddamn white baby is that?
the kids, on the other hand, are starting to get to that age where they're asking questions, and the oldest one, at least, seems to know what's going on. So with Kristen Cole training Alicent's kids, and Harwin helping to train Rhaenyra's kids, there's a lot of tension going on down there in the yard. And eventually it gets to a boiling point that leads to a fight between the two, and Harwin does his best to smash Kristen Cole's face in, you know, old Sir Loudmouth style from the previous episode. That works out fine for Kristen Cole, since Harwin just gets tossed out of the city for attacking a man of the King's Guard, joining Daemon in the ranks of people getting exiled from the city. That's all we get of Kristen Cole in this episode, but Harwin still has to go through getting yelled at by his dad, saying goodbye to Rhaenyra and his kids, and then making the journey out to Harrenhal to learn how to be the lord of that seat. Unfortunately, they both fall to a plot by what I think is the most dangerous man in the whole show. Harwin's brother, Larys Strong, the Clubfoot. He tries to be Littlefinger so much, maybe I should start calling him Littlefoot. He's evil and ambitious enough to murder his own father and brother just to get what he wants, and he's smooth enough to do it while halfway blackmailing the Queen about it. So what about our resident troublemaker, Daemon?
Didn't know I was being so minutely observed.
Well, it seems like since being exiled the last time, he's actually left and managed to stay in Pentos for at least some of the last 10 years. He married Laena Velaryon, and they have 2 daughters with a third one on the way. We pick up with them, and they've just been chilling in Pentos, basically partying with royalty and showing off Caraxes and Laena's dragon, Vhagar, which is just absurdly huge. They seem pretty happy together, considering what an ass Daemon can be. Laena's very pregnant and really wants to have her kid back at Driftmark, where he's supposed to be, but Daemon's not feeling it. They get offered gold and a mansion to join the Magister of Pentos in his fight against the new Triarchy, the same people that Daemon and Corlys Velaryon stomped on years before, since they're reforming somewhere out in the Stepstones. Laena knows that they're meant for more, but Daemon doesn't really care. He doesn't mind being a sellsword. She tells him that she wants more out of this life and more out of it for her children, and when she meets her end, she wants it to be a dragon rider's death. When things go south during her childbirth, a scene that was way too reminiscent of the Queen Emma, the first queen, and her death during childbirth at the beginning of the series, she pretty much grants her own wish and dies by dragonfire after ordering Vhagar to light her up.
Vhagar, Dracarys.
So now the kids. We have Rhaenyra's kids, Jace, Luke, and the baby Joffrey, and Alicent's kids, Aegon, Aemond, and Helena. Aegon's the oldest of all 6 kids, and he's fond of rubbing one out standing on the same window that young King Tommen took a nosedive off of in Game of Thrones. Never stand under windows in King's Landing. The kids themselves seem to get along with each other pretty well. They all gang up and make fun of each other like kids do, so they seem fairly normal. One of them may be a witch. They mess with Aemon because he's the only one that doesn't have a dragon. That pisses him off and sets him wandering around the dragon pit, where he almost gets lit up by Cyrax, I think. All the bad feelings between the kids really seem to stem completely from the parents. It's sad to see them used like pawns in this Game of Thrones.
He said it! He said it!
After Harwin Strong gets exiled, we find out that Jace does know what's up and asks if Harwin is his father. Alicent's daughter Helena is really weird and enjoys bugs, but she also says a lot of stuff. She says it really quiet, so turn up your volume when you're watching, but pay attention to everything that comes out of her mouth. Kind of like an interesting comment she makes about her brother finally getting a dragon.
You will have a dragon one day.
You'll have to close an eye.
So the time jumps have really kind of pissed off some people, and that's understandable. I mean, book readers know where it's going, but if you're coming into this having just watched the shows or just watched this show, it definitely feels a bit jarring, and if you don't know where it's going, I can understand people getting upset with it. Especially after the way Game of Thrones kind of messed up the whole time jump thing. I mean, we did miss any kind of story on how Harwin and Rhaenyra hooked up, and we missed most of the details on how Daemon and Laena got married. But I don't think it really makes that much different in the grand scheme of things. I would like to know at what point during this 10 years Kristen Cole found the Fountain of Youth, because that dude ain't aged a day. So basically, other than a lot of shit talking and stuff like that, we really didn't miss a whole lot in that 10 years. And like I said, if you read the books and you know where this is going, you understand why we were trying to speed up to what I think is going to end up being an amazing episode 10, if it's anything near what I think it's going to be. The dragons in this episode were also amazing. Vhagar is an absolute monster, just unbelievably huge. Old, slow, and ugly, but I really like the design of this dragon. In the scene where Laena commands Vhagar to burn her, the emotion that they were able to display with the dragon, the eyes, the way it moved, I thought it was awesome. I don't care who says what. Vhagar looked more upset than Daemon did. I know I kind of skipped Daemon's kids here, the two girls, one of which is a little worried because her dragon's egg never hatched, but I'll be getting to them in the next episode. They don't do too much in this episode, and that's why, but don't forget about them. We also get our first look at Vermax in the dragon pit with the kids, and the way that the dragon riders teach the kids how to control the dragons. I thought that was pretty cool. And last but not least, definitely not least of the dragons, was our amazing view of the Pink Dread.
Behold, the Pink Dread. Be sure to mount her carefully. First flight's always rough.
Kids plus dragons plus jokes equals angry Aemon.
Oh, he's a twat.
Side note, weddings and births in this show are just horrible. Like, just terrible, violent, deadly events. So don't get married and don't have kids in Westeros if you like anybody you're planning on it inviting to any of these things. Also, the food in Pentos looked like crap, just like the food at the wedding. That's very disappointing. No good food anywhere in the world, apparently. So, Rhaenyra and Laenor's relationship survived the events of their wedding, and their arrangement might have worked out pretty well if it hadn't been for the fact that Harwin and Laenor don't look anything alike, so Rhaenyra's kids don't look anything like their father. In the books, the Valyrians were described pretty much like Targaryens. So I think the casting for the Valyrians was actually kind of neat. And I think it throws a whole new little spin on everything that happens in the books as far as them always making fun of the kids for being strong. It plays into the plot line pretty well. It also makes us look at the mindset of the king, though. You have your father's nose? Where, fool, in his pocket? It's not that he doesn't know. He doesn't care. And he's not a very strong king. Honestly, he just wants to go finish that Valyrian Lego set and be left alone and have everybody stop fighting. I can't blame him for that. So the man to watch is definitely Larys Strong. That dude is shady as... I'm also really wondering if the assassins that he sent after he cut their tongues out are going to show up again. I'm not really sure if they have anything to do with the rest of it or who they really are. I also just want to point out something interesting for real life. Watching the king decline just because of hate and anger being stuck around him constantly is sad, but we should really kind of think about that on our bad days. And I want to give a special shout out to everybody in my House of the Dragons group on Facebook. You guys give me tons of ideas for things to talk about in these videos, and at some point, my videos are going to be like 16 hours long. So thanks for adding me in there, and I hope you guys at least see this. I might just have to throw a link for the group in the description. And now, I need to go try to knock out the next video for House of the Dragon, because I'm getting a little behind, and I don't have that much time left before I take off to go help after the hurricane in Florida. I'll be leaving links for how to follow me on that little adventure somewhere in the description too. So drop me a like if you enjoyed the video, throw something in the comments, and subscribe, that way you don't miss the next one.